With Brand New Day on the horizon looking absolutely incredible and officially dropping the home naming theme, there's no better time to revisit the Homecoming trilogy on its own merits. There is so much debate over this trilogy of films. Was it funny, exciting, and heartfelt? Or was it trite, annoying, and underwhelming? Is the Homecoming trilogy a missed opportunity or a good Spider-Man arc? I'm going to take a fair look at these movies and give my honest thoughts, whether negative or positive. Now, trilogy-wide, I do agree with many negative criticisms of the films. It is silly that a lot of it is flat, lifeless green screen. The lighting and cinematography is uninspired and bland at times, though to act like it always is disingenuous. The films at times look beautiful and have good editing. Of course, it is genuinely hilarious that they reused footage of Sandman and Lizard from their respective films, like, come on. I do find some of the immature humor that Peter makes and the weird, inconsistent level of emotional intelligence that he bounces between off-putting at times. I do wish that Scorpion and Shocker got suits. On the other hand, I think at times critics are overly harsh and sometimes misrepresentative of these films. Many people say that the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy is bad because it's not comic accurate. I've news for you, buddy. That doesn't mean anything. That's like looking at a ballet and saying it's not European accurate. What does that even mean? It's the most vague statement possible. It's the fence sitter's equivalent of being close to a negative opinion. What is it actually inaccurate to in the comics? There's like a billion of them. The first ever comic where Lizard was there, Spider-Man has to travel to Florida to fight him. But I mean, that's not what happens a lot in the cartoons or the movies. That's not comic accurate. I struggle to pretend that every single set piece in Homecoming wasn't electric. I struggle to act like Far From Home, having Peter and his class go on a cross-country trip trailed by Mysterio while Peter gets manipulated by him over time isn't a cool story. I mean, be so for real. If that was like a little run in the comics in between a larger event, it'd be a pretty creative little story, an enjoyable, fresh, classic cat and mouse between Mysterio and Spider-Man. I don't generally think that No Way Home gets much worse on rewatch. That's a sentiment that people share a lot. I don't think it's poorly paced. It has a sort of slow first act that it, I think, uses to fortify and explore the human relationships at the heart of the film well. I mean, crazy statement, that's not a bad thing. I find it to be well written. The emotional core between Ned, MJ, and Peter works throughout the trilogy and especially in No Way Home, in part because of the strength of the writing of the films. But before I glaze them too much, I do want to talk about Spider-Man generally. I grew up on the Tobey Maguire movies. In years far gone, my sister and I would rewatch Spider-Man 1 on DVD like every day. For years, Spider-Man 2 was my favorite movie. Dr. Octopus was the epitome of cool. I was on board with Spider-Man 3 from day one. I mean, the climactic final battle with the Goliath Sandman and Venom, whilst yes, a lame Venom, but Venom nonetheless, just unhinged, screaming, mad as hell after praying to God that he would die. It was sick. I mean, dig on this. Then the Andrew Garfield movies released, and suddenly I'm an angsty preteen listening to Kingdom Come by Coldplay, imagining myself as Spider-Man. How did he get up there? I don't know, dude, but it's pretty cool. Then we get to Tom Holland. Iron Boy Jr., as Spider-Man Twitter likes to call him. Well, fucking snot-nosed brat. At the time, it felt like so long between these Spiderlings. But there's actually only 2 years between The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Captain America Civil War, which is not much time at all.
I remember an eternity of limbo regarding Spider-Man. Was Andrew Garfield going to be joining the MCU, or was Spider-Man going to be recast? Was he going to be joining the MCU at all?
The Asa Butterfield casting rumors.
And then once Tom Holland was finally cast, it felt like I had to look at this Boss Logic picture for 300 years. And then the Civil War trailer hits like a nuke. We get the first look at his suit, we get to hear his voice, we see him swinging into action. It was everything we could have hoped for. There was so much goodwill going into this version of the character. People loved him in Civil War, so how did his first movie actually turn out? Let's quickly talk about the director.
Jon Watts directed all 3 films in the MCU Spider-Man trilogy, which is very rare for the MCU. Actually, a first for the MCU. Jon Watts finishing out the Spider-Man trilogy precedes James Gunn finishing out the Guardians trilogy by 2 years. Jon Watts is often blamed for the supposed failures of these movies, which, okay, fair enough. He did direct all 3. So let's talk about Jon Watts and his time at Marvel.
He has talked at length about his experience interviewing with Marvel over the course of months to land the Spider-Man job. He reportedly was bringing in storyboards and pieces of script that weren't necessary at the points he needed them to be, but this just continued to impress Kevin Feige even more. In an interview with the LA Times before the release of Homecoming, he talks about how he knew it was a long shot and just says that whilst he was meeting with Marvel over the course of these months, just kept acting like we were making the movie together, not like he was trying to win the job. He also confirms in the same interview that Marvel keeps snipers trained on them at all times so that they don't spoil things in interviews.
John Watts would have the cast of Homecoming watch old John Hughes films.
Yo, take a shot every time I say John in this fucking...
Watts clearly had a passion for this character and world going in, but what did that passion actually translate to? I'm sure some random racist 19-year-old would be passionate about making a Spider-Man movie, but it might just turn out boring, repetitive, and lame. Going into the development of the MCU Peter Parker, there was a lot of stock put into it being a fresh take of the character on film. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Peter have very similar setups and deeper arcs, so how do we approach this? Well, we land on a few things. One, we skip the Uncle Ben angle, a, to this day, controversial choice. We also land on a younger Peter. We do stick with the high school angle, but notably, both Peters were seniors in their first films. Tom Holland goes on to play a freshman Peter Parker, a pretty substantial difference. There is no Harold Osborn, there's Ned, codename CEO of Sex, otherwise known as the guy in the chair. A lot of people say Ned Leeds is the Hobgoblin. That's technically not true. He was brainwashed into thinking he was the Hobgoblin. Ned not being the Hobgoblin is actually comic accurate. After Ned is Hob-like, he's murdered by the Foreigner. And if you've seen my Craven video, you know how we feel about the Foreigner on my channel.
Don't you want to know why they call him the Foreigner?
Меня зовут Foreigner, потому что я ниоткуда.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
1, 2.
1, 2.
Ned Leeds, the Foreigner says hello and goodbye. Foreigner sends his regards and his good riddances. The Foreigner says piss and
2.
Is that the comic accuracy you so desire? Do you want the Foreigner to kill Ned Leeds? Is that what you want? Anyway, look at this. Ned is a great character in these movies. He is so funny and so heartfelt. I love their relationship. Ned brings such a fun dynamic to Peter by finding out early. It stands out from Harry Osborn, and I enjoy the antics it provides. You can never not convince me these movies aren't hilarious.
What are you doing here? There's a dance. I'm looking.
How interesting!
Am I going to talk about Michelle Jones versus Mary Jane? No, I don't care. Really, I don't. You know, MJ's cool. If they find a way to call her Mary Jane in Brand New Day, that's fine too, I guess. I really don't care. The character of MJ, Michelle Jones, whatever her name is supposed to be, is, I think, well written, and Zendaya plays her very well. She's a great actress who has incredible chemistry with Tom Holland.
What group has Batman joined in your band? Fantastic Four, Defenders, or the Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Before MJ, though, we do play around with Liz Allen, a character that we had not seen in the previous films. She's fine. I like her better in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. She leaves at the end of the movie.
Zendaya wasn't having any of it. Her co-star tried flirting with Tom Holland while she was watching. Tom wasn't trying to sleep on the couch, so he bailed. She tried again on the red carpet, and Tom used his spidey senses and asked for Zendaya. Savage.
The connection that she has to the wider plot is really where she shines, though. The Vulture. And I guess at this point, we're just talking about Homecoming. Vulture is a great villain. Michael Keaton is incredible. The presence that he brings to Vulture is so good, and that's aided in the insane suit. The design work here is so cool, making him like a scrapper. For all the MCU-ify whatever of the suits in these movies that they do a lot, this is a really cool take on a Vulture design. And having him in the movie be an actual Vulture, kind of scavenging off these parts from the Avengers battle, I think that's a really creative take on the character. There's so many cool things they do with him. I love this visual of him slamming Peter into the beach with his talons, like so cool. Of course, everyone knows how good that traffic light scene is, where it flicks over right as he figures out who Peter is. I mean, so good. And the cherry on top is this twist with him and Liz Allen. That twist, I mean, it works because we didn't expect it, right? Mysterio, we know he's going to be a bad guy. We didn't know that Vulture was going to be Liz Allen's dad. Like, what?
One thing I've always really appreciated about this scene, too, is how the music crescendos to its most intense right as they arrive at the dance, even though 30 seconds later, Vulture will pull a gun on Peter.
Because at the end of the day, at the end of fighting Electro and Rhino and whatnot, Spider-Man at this point in his life, his greatest concerns are the homecoming dance, the girl, class, and to be able to communicate that through the music too, to show that maybe he's less scared about the fact that Vulture knows his secret identity than what that means for Liz Allen's safety. That's Peter. MCU movies do not generally have twists.
I am the Mandarin!
An actual twist that works. It fundamentally affects the narrative and changes how we see the characters and situation. That is the hallmark of a good twist. It's not just for the shock value. Now, of course, we do have to address the Robert Downey Jr. in the room.
Sorry I'm late. I was doing stuff.
I'm stuck.
MJ, OMG, no.
Pete, your girlfriend is us. In an ideal world, are Spider-Man and the X-Men around at the same time, even first, before the Avengers? Sure, but that's not what happened. And a big part of moving away from the Amazing Spider-Man 3 towards an MCU Spider-Man was money.
Interesting.
Sorry, I wrote down so fans could see Spider-Man in the MCU. Yeah, that sounds better. I do think they get a bit carried away with the Mr. Stark. But overall, I don't have an issue with Peter looking up to an older superhero.
Only reason why this movie was even successful in the first place is because they had Iron Man in it.
Honestly, my opinions on Iron Man in the film are not that strong. I'm not gonna sit here and entirely begrudge the thought that MCU Spider-Man could have been cooler without making the connection so strong. I'm also not gonna pretend it's inherently bad or some sort of failure to recognize an integral truth about Spider-Man.
Starts with the conversation of him talking to Iron Man, and then it's him saving him from the lake, and then it's him saving him at the boat, and then it's them at the end too. And everything in between that is him trying to talk to Happy. It's the DNA of the movie.
I just disagree.
I adore the score in Homecoming. This scene lives in my memory. It fits this Peter and world so well, I don't think the theme gets enough credit. On the other side, when Vulture is at play, it's so suspenseful and powerful. It's a dark rendition of the Avengers theme, taking the idea that Vulture is scavenging from the Avengers even further thematically. And then Peter's theme throughout the trilogy that, dun, 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 dun. The composer, Michael Giacchino, did an incredible job bringing vibrance to this film through sound. As far as a Spider-Man project that wants the friendly neighbor vibe, it works in spades. Peter saving the bike, the car alarms, the neighbors yelling, the sandwiches. That's Peter Parker. I think this movie's funny, and probably the funniest in the trilogy. Like when Vulture says, "I'm the shocker, I shock people."
The shocker, I'm the shocker, I shock people. You know what? I can't afford your bullshit.
I've been using that as a joke, a stim, whatever, for almost a decade now. I'm the prowler, I prowl people. Tom Holland has a great performance. He Tom Hollands people. And he kicks ass, frankly. He has good quips. He has good physicality. We all know he does most of his stunts. He's famous for that. He has a background in dancing. He's a born performer. And at the end of the movie, he lifts rubble off of him. So yeah, Homecoming, I'm gonna say, is a genuinely good movie. Is it perfect? No. Does it need to be? I don't know, maybe. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is perfect. Let's move on and talk about Far From Home. I kind of like Far From Home. It's pretty solidly the weakest in the trilogy, but I don't think that means it's bad. I mean, I used the Night Monkey suit in the PS4 Spider-Man when it came out on PC, because I don't have a PS4. Ned and Peter's relationship is developed well. Jacob Batalon, I touched on this earlier, but the CEO of Sex, frankly, does not get his flowers for how goddamn good he is in these movies. He's so funny. He's so fucking funny.
Hey, man. Hey, look, I am so sorry if I
seem like I'm preoccupied with my relationship. I'm still your kind of...
But he plays the emotional scenes so well. He isn't just a comic relief guy. He's a main character in all three of the movies, and he plays off of Tom Holland so well. Jacob Batalon is really bringing it as an actor in these movies. MJ's inclusion in the film is ramped up heavily. People may forget that she was not around that much in Homecoming. She was kind of a side joke character that would just be mean to Ned and Peter every once in a while. But here she is solidified as the love interest, and that core of Ned, Peter, and MJ starts being built for the third film. I think all of their relationships are developed well. Peter trying to impress MJ, it's cute, it works. Jake Gyllenhaal was an interesting choice for Mysterio. Back when I was in high school, my fan cast for Mysterio was Zachary Quinto, because Mysterio looks like Spock, and Zachary Quinto is Spock.
Oh no, they sent the wrong Spock. Live long and suck it, Zachary Quinto.
But Jake Gyllenhaal was great, so no complaints. Luckily, I didn't have to be there while he stunk up the set. People often criticize the MCU for being embarrassed about being based on comics, making fun of names, Illumawati, and what have you. But in Far From Home, they say Mysterio like 50 times. So there's that. Also, Peter calls Vulture the flying vulture guy, or like, I think Iron Man calls him that. That counts in my book. Mysterio is great in this movie. Obviously, that one singular Mysterio scene is great. Not just the action. The scene where Mysterio unmasks and giggles gleefully to his team of absolute goober Gen Xers is so funny. Who are these people? I like how Mysterio's suit that they put the VFX on top of is the original Mysterio design. That's cool. I find the Nick Fury inclusion good. It's fun and it works. And oh, it's technically not Nick Fury. It's the Skrull. I really don't like that. I don't like that at all. His inclusion in the film feels natural. It feels like it makes sense in the scheme of the wider MCU. Now, Iron Man's death, that's not on John Watts. He didn't direct an Avengers movie. But I appreciate the evolution of Happy and Peter's relationship. It feels strangely natural considering the circumstances. I'm sure they talked at Tony's funeral.
You know, your dad likes cheeseburgers.
I like when Happy picks him up and Peter is terrified. Tom Holland is a really good actor, and Jon Favreau is doing his best. Baby Mountain Goat in the room. I don't completely hate the Baby Mountain Goat scene. For those out of the loop, there's like a true vitriol towards this scene. The Baby Mountain Goat scene, or the moment when Peter endangers his classmates and teachers on the bus by triggering ballistic explosions to execute his peers using satellite-powered laser destruction launch. Look, buddy, if you get offended by Peter almost destroying a countryside and killing all of his classmates, you might just be a snowflake. I understand it's annoying that Peter kind of causes this, but I don't know. To me, it always read as the sort of identity gag we may see in Spectacular Spider-Man, maybe. I don't know. It's a stupid scene. No, it is a stupid scene. I'm trying to like downplay how bad it is, but it's a pretty bad scene. I guess my point is it so bad that it ruins the entire movie? I don't think so. Perhaps they could have lowered the stakes. You know, maybe real baby mountain goats actually ram into the bus, and Peter has to jump out, web the bus, because they're on a cliff, but he's like, oh no, my identity. So he asks the glasses to do something. Then he goes, look, the mama goat is here. And they look, and the glasses says, no. You get what I'm saying? Like, shut up. What is Brad doing? Feels like a good time to talk about the side cast of these movies because they were a big part of Homecoming too. The teachers, of course, Martin Starr and J.B. Smoove.
Mr. Harrington and Mr. Dell. And then, of course, the legendary Hannibal Buress plays Mr. Wilson, who I believe doesn't show up in Far From Home.
Really funny. I mean, J.B. Smoove is so funny in these movies.
And that scene where Peter's class gets to meet up with the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's gotta be one of the funniest scenes in the whole MCU, right?
Do not ask him to shit on her. Shitting is something you do on a whore. Pooping is a gift you give to your soulmate.
And then you have, of course, the other students. You have Betty, played by Angourie Rice. You have Flash Thompson, played by Tony Revolori.
Fun fact, Tony Revolori is the only actor to have featured alongside Peter Parker and Miles Morales.
I am a bitch-ass nigga. I don't give a fuck.
Branzino is a hard thing to cook. I know good Branzino, and this was not good Branzino. I have never particularly cared about the differentiation in the character of Flash. I almost found it to be smart.
There was a lot of talk about how Flash Thompson as a character is a very old school bully archetype that is just kind of outdated. So they changed it to have Flash more of a rich kid archetype, someone who's snobby and bullies from a place of social status and wealth.
Makes sense in the modern age, and for this, Peter.
And you see it reflected in the writing, right? He's the one who's capitalizing off of knowing his identity by writing a book. Even early on, he's the one throwing the house parties that Peter doesn't get invited to. He's the one that drives a nice car, and that gives him some sort of social prop up, no matter how annoying he is at that stage in life. Like, it all is there. It's good. It's well written.
Oh, the Tony Revolori can't be the Agent Venom. Like, shut up. Like, who cares? What are you even talking about?
Peter, for the umpteenth time, you're just not my type. Not when dreamboats like Flash Thompson are around. I admire your good taste, doll. Get lost, bookworm.
Also, Tony Revolori probably could play Agent Venom, so like, whatever.
You also have these fellas. Apparently this one is supposed to be Silk. Okay.
I think they're fun in these movies. I like them.
Another common complaint I see levied at the movies is their lack of classic Spider-Man action, whether that be the exciting momentum of swinging through New York or just chasing a villain whilst doing that. Hand-to-hand combat, the sort of stuff you want to see when you're watching Spider-Man. I think there's arguments to be made in both directions. On one hand, I find that most of the set pieces and action scenes throughout the entire trilogy are shot and edited very well. They're kinetic and exciting. But the fact of the matter is that we'd much rather see Spider-Man punching on Sandman than we would swinging and blowing up a bunch of drones, right? And I think that's where the issue comes in. Eventually, the novelty of having him fight on a plane or massive bridges, grand new places runs out. What's more, you can see in No Way Home when Green Goblin and Peter get these hand-to-hand fights, when we get these grittier up-close action scenes, John Watts has the ability to pull it off, to make it satisfying and real, but they just don't really opt to do that often. What's great is that with Brand New Day, it looks like hand-to-hand combat is going to be focus, which in my opinion will definitely help us appreciate in the long run that Homecoming Trilogy tried some new things with his action.
As per it not being in New York, like I said at the beginning, I don't entirely mind seeing the 7th live-action Spider-Man movie not be in New York. Speaking of that, the 8th live-action Spider-Man movie is what truly creates a web that connects the three Peters, Peter, and Peter. I do not have that much to say about this movie. It's a good movie. It's solid. I think the Sandman and Electro first appearance scene is beautiful. Like, oh my god. And then it's funny. It has a lot of really good fan service. Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe, Jamie Foxx too, are really good. Beyond that, Zendaya, Ned are so good. They are so good in this movie. The emotional core between these characters is pumped up to 11, and the ending works. The ending is so sad, and it really feels like, again, we can talk about comics all day. Peter should have been older at first. Peter doesn't joke like this. Peter's that. The baby goat scene, I think all of them are written with heart, and they make an earnest effort to write a modernized Peter that connects to the built-up MCU. And it works for me. It not being any particular thing that it's not doesn't ding off points. Would I have changed some things as a fan? Do I wish they did other story arcs here or there? Do I wish they just put Shocker and Scorpion in suits? Of course, I do. But, like, that's not the movie. That's what it isn't. So what's in the movie? Nacho Varga with a cool tattoo and Bokeem Woodbine slamming Peter into a bus. Look at that impact. Gnarly. So what's it like going forward in the MCU? Spider-Man hasn't been around enough, and he should be. He should have been in Daredevil Born Again. He should have been in the Marvels, Captain America Brave New World. Sam and Bucky were his first fight in Civil War. You know, that would have made sense. They know each other. He could have met Joaquin, brought him more into the wider emotional web at play before Doomsday. I mean, he's got a fucking chair. Was Spider-Man saving people during the Void and Thunderbolts? Or, like, was he in there? Me when Mr. Negative powers are because of the Void? Well, Spidey's future has been shaky and uncertain at times in the MCU, where some of his lines and arcs may not land. I believe he has a solid foundation and a bright future. I don't think Brand New Day or Secret Wars are the end of Tom Holland's Peter, especially if Brand New Day is as fucking cool as it seems like it will. Of course, I'll have a video then, so do subscribe to watch that when it comes out. I think especially with the classics, X-Men and Fantastic Four coming into the MCU, everyone, the fans and the people that make the money, would love to get Spider-Man to a more stable, consistent place in this universe. I hope that the stupid-ass people in suits that do business meetings that decide this stuff will pull it off. Tom Holland is so passionate about the character. He's spoken so much about being more involved with the development of Brand New Day, and they finally put Scorpion in a suit, hopefully a mask. I think it's good that Ned and MJ are back. I just hope they don't rush the reveal, but I don't know. We're going to have to see the movie. That's going to be all for today. If you agree or disagree with anything I've said, leave a comment below. Check out another vid, and I do have to give a massive shout out to my members, Nick Snickerbottom and Cat McKee. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Have a great day or night. Hippo out.